Welcome to the Cardinal Report, your weekly 30-minute look inside the world of North Central College athletics. I'm Justin Zipser. Even though last week was spring break at NCC, many of the school's athletes were in competition during the week to kick off the spring season of athletics in earnest. With that being said, let's get you updated on what happened. Softball came off a trip in Florida to start the season 8-2. That trip included a no-hitter from senior pitcher Vlasta Mangia. Last week, the Cardinals returned to Illinois for a trio of doubleheaders. With momentum built up, NCC finished the past week of action 6-0, including its most recent wins against Beloit College in the home opener. During the most recent stretch of wins, head coach Jim Kalawiak picked up his 700th career victory. He's just the 12th coach in D3 history to join the club. In 16 starts this season, CC Portillo is batting an insane .511, 24 hits in 57 at-bats. Amanda Walker is pacing the offense with 17 RBIs and a slugging percentage of .615. And pitcher Andrea Starr also carries a sterling record of 6-0 in 5 starts. The softball team is now 14-2, and the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association ranks the team 22nd in the nation in its latest Division III poll. The baseball team also has gone through a similar number of games, currently sitting at 12-5. The team got the CCIW portion of its schedule underway with a trio of doubleheaders, 2 on the road versus Millikin and another at Augustana. After all the action, NCC sits at 4-1 in the conference and begins play at home this week. 7 Cardinal hitters are currently batting at least .300 this season, led by the .400 average of John Selkis, and runs are being pushed across with a balanced attack. 6 hitters have between 12 and 15 RBIs. NCC's main trio of starters have compiled a collective record of 8-0. In fact, Andrew Hauser and Ben Cruzen carry minuscule ERAs of 1.29 and 1.61 respectively. We may have just recently finished up the indoor track and field season, but there's little rest for the athletes that also compete in outdoor events. That season begins this weekend for both the men's and women's North Central outdoor track and field teams. The men returned 2 individual CCIW championships from last season's team, distance runner Johnny Crane and javelin thrower Nick Friedrich. The women returned 5 national qualifiers from last year's outdoor season, including All-American efforts from Emily Stallworth and Lena Baker. The United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association has the men ranked 14th and the women 13th heading into the first week of the season. There's also the Lacrosse program digging in for the long haul, the spring athletics season. And after a record finish last season, this year's team is setting its goals high. We're taking a quick break, but next, the lacrosse team joins us on the Cardinal Report.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
We're back on the Cardinal Report. North Central College lacrosse head coach Jenni Kapanen joins us to get things started. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, 3-3 to begin the season. You've looked very good in your home games and your conference games so far, but you had the 3-game losing streak in California for your spring break trip. So, I mean, you had the good and the bad. So just kind of give me a consensus, general feelings, how the season's going so far.
Actually, the season's going really well. I think we did a great job out in California. We knew going in it was going to be pretty tough, considering they started their season, late January. So it was our first week going in, and we went there to get some great competition. Probably could have put one of those games away, but all in all, did a great job. And I think even they were shocked to see how well we did, considering we had just started up.
So it's your 6th season as the head coach of the team, and I guess last year was the most impressive season. It was the cornerstone year of the program, essentially, with the 7-1 finish in the conference. So, and what did you learn last year, and what are you trying to take into this season as you kind of gear up for the bulk of the MWLC schedule?
Well, I think the goal is always just to keep growing. Obviously, eventually the growth is going to be a little less visible, but it's been a long-term vision for the past 6 years to just keep getting better, and our goal is always to win the conference, and again, just to hopefully take it to the next level. So not all that different from the years before, except we have a lot more talent this year.
So it's your 6th season as head coach for the team, and you've been with the team since its inception. And each year we've seen a gradual uptick in both success and a number of wins, all that stuff. So, I mean, what's the plan this year to keep that gradual progression like we've seen year after year?
Obviously just the level of talent, but also the consistency and the fact that we had been getting better every year. So it's a lot easier to get a little bit better in one year instead of trying to get significantly better in one season. So again, I think it's just having that vision and continuing to make the next team always a little better than the year before.
So after a 3-game skid during the California trip, the Cardinals are now on a 2-game winning streak. Let's take you back to Saturday for the first of those 2 games. This one a home tilt against Linfield College.
Another season of lax is upon us. Cards hosting their 2nd game of the season at Benedetti Worley, coming off a 3-game losing streak with their week-long trip to California. NCC welcoming Linfield College to Naperville. Wildcats, a team out of Oregon, on a 2-game winning streak. Just about 90 seconds in, the Cardinals are in business after Bianca Perry forces the ground ball. Fisher nabs the ground ball pickup in the offensive zone. A few seconds later, Rachael Houp makes her way toward the crease. Not much defense in her way as she glides in for goal number 11 on the season. North Central up 1-0. It takes NCC about 8 more minutes to find its next goal. Goalkeeper Erica Filippo no match for Samantha Kinder. First goal of her career for the freshman out of Chicago Heights. After that, things start to click for the North Central offense. Madison Moss with the ball behind the net finds Fisher out of the waterfall offensive set. Casey Whaling scores for NCC about 40 seconds later as well, so Linfield calls timeout. But with 12 minutes left in the first half, Linfield finally gets on the board. Duarte loses Carolyn goalie with the spin move, takes her 2 tries, but she eventually gets by Stasitis. Team high 4 goals, 5-1 North Central. Now 6-4 Cardinals. Anna Bartels gives NCC some breathing room with 18 seconds left in the first half. It's 7-4 North Central at intermission. The offense looks better in the second half too. Here's Fisher zigging, zagging, shooting, and scoring through the Wildcats' interior D. 5 goals on the day for her, ties a career high.
Coach, one of the more interesting things you said before the season started was the fact that this team now, with its recent success, is a known commodity. I mean, when you have Gina Fisher, who's the Defensive Player of the Year last year in the conference, and a number of other players with that success, now you're a known commodity. How does that make coaching maybe a little bit more difficult going into some of these games where the other teams, they know who you are, they know what you do well?
Well, of course, we got to make some adjustments, but again, we have a lot of depth, so we've just talked about things that we need to do differently as a team. Obviously, again, Gina is a tremendous player, so she also has the capacity to bring a new element to the game, while also compensating on those days when her number 1 strength isn't necessarily working out. So again, some minor adjustments, but we always try to play as a team, and we have many people who can contribute, so it's just having that awareness and then knowing how to adjust if necessary.
Well, you do have a lot of returners, but you also have a lot of newcomers as well. And I guess when we start the season, it's always kind of interesting to see who are the new players that will kind of stand out above the rest. So who are some of the new freshmen, maybe some of the sophomores from last year that didn't get enough credit in your eyes that maybe we should look out for this season?
Well, again, the nice thing is that I think any of those freshmen can really contribute on a given day. So again, I think what we still look for is just consistency. So we've had Anna Bartels really do some great things. We've had Anisha Mattingly do some great things. Cassie Whaling's been doing some great things. Sam Kinder's been doing some great things. So again, honestly, I could list all of them. But again, I think what we really look for is the one day when all of them realize that they don't need to do things perfectly. If they just do what they know best, and that is just to play the game to their capacity, then we'll be in a good position.
And maybe looking specifically to Sam Kinder, who has gotten a lot of shots off as a freshman over the course of the first, 4 or so games, but didn't really get all the goal output that she maybe would have liked. And then we, flash forward to your most recent game against Aurora, and she had 4 goals. So I think, like you said, it's all about kind of keeping that consistency throughout the season as a freshman.
Yeah, just having the recognition that college ball is really different from high school. All of them were really the big fish in the pond in high school, and again, right now everybody's just as good. So sometimes what they need to do is create opportunities for other people, create space instead of always just looking to score. And again, they're all very unselfish players, but I think it's more the mindset saying and recognizing, you know what, I need to be doing lots of little things, and if I do the little things right, then I'm making the best for my team, and I'm doing a good job.
And something kind of interesting about your coaching background is that you have international experience. So you were coaching Finland a couple years back in the European Women's Lacrosse Championships. So, I mean, what a couple of years removed from that experience, but what do you take from that experience into your college gig?
Just the different styles of play. Actually, I had a chance to do summer coaching this past summer in the World Cup as well. And again, the game can be played in so many different ways. And you can always get better. And as much as we're here to learn about our own game, I love just watching other teams play and just taking as much away from them as possible. And I think the biggest point of all is, regardless of what level you're playing at, who you play for, it should still be fun. Watching those women play as adults and having their kids and husbands in the stands was a pretty cool experience.
Keep it right here. We're taking a quick break, but there's still more with Coach Kapanen next on the Cardinal Report.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back to the Cardinal Report. Still have Coach Jenni Kapanen with us to talk more lacrosse. So let's talk about maybe conference a little bit more specifically here. And I think the one big roadblock that's always been your way, or maybe most recently, has been Augustana. That's a team that beat you in the postseason tournament title game last season. That was the first time you ever got that far, so it was a big accomplishment for the program. But what's it going to take to beat Augustana? Such a great program.
I think we just got to be able to play our own game. It obviously has to be one of our better days, but it's not just about one day. Again, it's about getting better every day, and if we do the things right, keep growing, keep improving, then by the time we're up against them, then hopefully that's going to be good enough.
That's a good mindset to have. You have a new goalie this season, Sandy Stasitis, who has a little bit of goalkeeping experience in her past, but this season she's the starter and she has that job with her. So tell me what you've seen out of her. I think she's looked very good so far.
Yeah, again, I mean, obviously, you know, she's still learning a lot, but again, playing that position is just a mindset, and I think she's got the mindset of a goalie. She's not afraid of the ball. She's not afraid of, doing what I'm asking her to do. And again, she's been doing a great job learning, taking it all in. And again, I think she's going to surprise a lot of people. And I think she already has surprised a lot of people, saying, you know what, it's about sticking to the basics, focusing on the next save. And it's one of those positions that you let some goals in, and that's okay.
I think that's a good point. I mean, there's never going to be a game, or at least very rarely will there be a game in which you have a shutout. You know, you're going to let some goals in. So is there anything that you try to tell her advice-wise to make her maybe a little bit more comfortable in a new position like that?
I think, again, just sticking to the basics, not trying to do anything other than, the things we've rehearsed, the things we've talked about, because it is one of those positions that a big part of it is just confidence, basic mechanics, but she also knows the game really well. She's played soccer before in the goal. She's also watched a lot of the game, and she's a student of the game. So, no, I think it's just a matter of keeping things simple and helping her be as comfortable as she can, and she knows that she's doing a really good job right now, and that's all I can ask for.
Being the newest athletic program, I guess, relative to the rest of the athletic programs at North Central, what's the biggest growth that you've seen with the program as you've been with it through its inception?
Biggest growth has just been to be able to grow from year to year. Of course, the making to the title game last year was a big step, but again, I don't think it was a big surprise for us. That's been a goal for ours for a while, and again, our goal is just to keep moving forward.
What are some of the players that we should look out for that we maybe don't know too much about? I mean, of course, we know about some of the mainstays atop of the stat sheet, but who are some of the players that maybe we don't get too much recognition for, or maybe we don't see as much that you think deserve maybe a little bit more recognition?
So you want me to give that away, huh? I think anybody, again, any given day, I really feel uncomfortable highlighting too many of them because, again, I think we have such a great group of women. And since we're also still lacking some consistency, they really have the capacity to bring a new element out in any game, any given day. So again, I think pretty much everyone on the team has a chance to be that wild horse.
I think something that you mentioned a little bit earlier in the show was the fact that you're going up against teams that maybe a little bit further along in their respective schedules. So what's been the most difficult part about that, knowing that maybe you're 2, 3, 4 games into the season, you're going up against teams that are 10 games into its season?
Well, maybe just the confidence. And again, I've used the word mindset a lot, but you just kind of have to keep things in check and realize that, you know what, it's the reality we're facing. We've faced many other challenges, such as not having lines down on the field, not being able to play outside, but that's just the reality. And again, focusing on the things that we can control and not worry about, what we cannot control. At the end of the season, we're all going to be at the same point, and that's when we really measure how big of a difference it made.
I think that's a good point. So let's talk about practice a little bit. Maybe some of the philosophies that you bring to practice, and maybe how you try to prepare girls for some of the matches that, for freshmen, they haven't had a lot of game experience. So what do you try to bring into the practice environment to make it maybe more like a game, so that they're more prepared for that type of action?
Well, I think the two elements we'll always have in a session are competition and then also just having fun. You need to learn to enjoy practice. I think, again, for a lot of the freshmen, it's a whole new experience to have that long of a practice season leading up to the games. But then the challenge that we run into now is now a lot of the practicing really takes place in a game. So it's all about having that balance, making the most of every time slot we have, every facility we have, but again, competition and having fun will always be a part of it.
I think that's kind of interesting, the fact that you mentioned the facilities, that maybe some of the poor weather in the past has not been that big of a factor because you have Res Rec to practice in or any other facility on campus to practice in. So what does that add to maybe the program and maybe as far as recruiting goes, anything like that? Yeah,
I mean, it's been great having Res Rec just because it's a great big space. It allows us to do a lot more than back in the day when we used the wrestling arena.
Yeah.
So I think our recruits noticed that we have some of the best facilities, not just in the conference, but really against many teams in other divisions. But at the end of the day, we still want to be able to get outside and really play the game where it's supposed to be played.
And have fun and get some consistency. So those are the main things that we're hearing from you. So we're gonna take those in, and we're gonna see the team grow, hopefully, and we appreciate you stopping by and giving us your thoughts.
Thanks so much.
After this quick timeout, a few players from the team stop by on the couch to talk some NCC Lax. Next on the Cardinal Report.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
TCR is back. Rachael, Houp, and Jamie Legner with us to close things up on the show. Girls, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Rachael, let's start with you. Coming off the 2-game winning streak that we mentioned against Linfield and then Aurora College, or Aurora University, I should say, excuse me. But just tell me, what worked well in those last 2 games that maybe allowed you to have such a wide margin of victory in both those contests?
I think that when we play as a team and our midfield transition is there and our offenses run smoothly is when we get our best results. And I think that we had great minutes in both those games that we really showed our best play, and we're smooth in our transition, and that just showed through our goals that we had. And
part of why the transition can work so well is because of defense on the back line, and Jamie, you're one of the most prominent defenders on the team. So tell me, what makes a good defensive lacrosse player?
I think just being patient and knowing, when to take that next step or when to, back off a little bit. And I think just not getting down, like if you get scored on, that's, a big thing to just kind of move past that and move on to the next. We can always make adjustments, we can always do better, but I just think that, really being patient and focusing on when the right time is to really stick it to them.
And I think that's kind of the similar mindset that you guys are trying to show Sandy, who's new in goal, and you kind of play near her in the back line. So tell me what you've seen out of her this season and how she's kind of quickly advanced, just 6 games into the season so far.
I think she has surprised a lot of people, including, her own teammates, and I'm so proud of her. I think she's doing an awesome job. I think her biggest thing is kind of trying to move past when she gets scored on, and, as a defensive unit, we always try to, talk her up and give her the, tell her to keep her head up and stuff like that, and she's just doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to do the rest of the season.
Rachel, we mentioned the fact that you had the 3-game losing streak in California, but if you look at the season statistics overall, I mean, you're really winning every single battle. Shots, goals, college turnovers, ground balls, whatever, what have you. I mean, you're winning all those statistical battles. So I guess overall, if you look at the season, so far a success, despite the 3-game losing streak, I mean, you really have had a lot of good things to look at here.
Yeah, I mean, this season has been, I think it's just been building off the past few years of working with coach and the teammates and being comfortable with the stick. And I feel confident this year more than I ever have, and I think that's really helping me a lot too.
And both of you girls are seniors, so you've kind of last couple of years have had to work with a lot of underclassmen. So maybe Rachel, I'll start with you. What's that been like working with a lot of young girls that, coming into the season don't know much about what it's like to be a college lacrosse player, but 6 games in, they're already showing some of the signs that you'd like to see out of a player?
I love working with the freshmen. I think it's awesome to get to know new girls every year, and we've both been there. We both know how it is to be new to a team, and I think that's an awesome role that we both play, is being able to welcome the freshmen and get them used to playing with us and just being role models for them as well.
And Jamie, when you were a freshman, do you remember what it was like playing your first couple of games at Benedetti Worley, just kind of being overtaken by all that stuff?
I remember being completely terrified because I had never played lacrosse before, so my freshman year was the first time I'd ever played, and I think I took a lot of steps from like the leadership of the seniors and the upperclassmen and even freshmen that had played. I think that they really helped me to kind of just calm down, not focus on what I'm not doing right and focus on what I am doing right. And I think that that's a big part of our job too, is to help the freshmen realize that they know the game, they know how to play, and just kind of calm them down and kind of get them set into what, our team goal is.
This season, the NCC lacrosse team will be wrapping up its 4th and final season in the Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference in 2014. But not to fret, next season it's on to the CCIW. We preview the move on this week's Cardinal Corner.
In 2007, North Central College decided to add women's lacrosse to its stable of athletics. When the team started competition a year later, it became the first team in Illinois to be sponsored by an NCAA Division III school. The program only won 4 games in its first 2 seasons as an independent, and last year the program set most of its individual and team records, while gobbling up 12 wins and a 7-1 record in the Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference.
Yeah, I think it shows a lot from where we've come from, especially since the program's so new. It kind of shows that we've come so far, and since I've been a freshman now, the program has even grown a lot.
And since NCC took the initiative in 2007, other area schools have followed suit. So next year, the Cardinals will move to a CCIW branded conference, along with existing programs Augustana and Carthage, and first-year programs Illinois Wesleyan and Elmhurst. North Central and Augustana met last season in the MWLC Conference Tournament title game.
They're a very good team, but we're also a very good team, and I think the competition is going to be really intense, even just between, us and Carthage and us and Augie.
The growth of the sport in our area is indicative of the growth we've seen in the Midwest as a whole. The NCAA says Lax is its fastest growing sport. Across all 3 divisions, 66 men's and women's programs were added for the 2012-2013 season.
Well, I started my sophomore year of high school, so I didn't really know what it was. My friend was just like, you should come out and play lacrosse. And I was like, okay, I guess lacrosse is cool.
Double goal scored by number 9, Addie Dietmeyer.
So it's definitely growing, and I think it's great because lacrosse is a great sport.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to kind of get interest because they don't really know what lacrosse is really about. They don't really know what to expect. And then when you're playing a school that nobody's ever heard of, they're like, well, why bother? But if you say like, oh, we're playing Illinois Wesleyan or we're playing Elmhurst, everybody's like, oh, like that's a big CCIW rivalry. We should go check that out. So I definitely think that'll help get fans.
The last time the CCIW added a sports sponsorship is all the way back in 2001 with men's and women's indoor track and field. In 1996, the conference added women's golf. It just goes to show you how popular the sport is becoming. The bet North Central played with early adoption seems to be paying off.
So Rachael, 15 goals in the season, which is second on the team to Gina Fisher's 18, and kind of a new role for you being a prominent goal scorer. So what's that been like, kind of being on that front line a lot and putting a lot of balls into net?
Yeah, it's definitely different than last year when I was mainly defense. Last year I would transition a few times, but it's been great. I really love playing midfield and defense, and it's really cool to see just how the offense plays out and just stepping into a new role. It's been really exciting.
Because of the relatively late start to its season, the team is facing off against competition that's oftentimes much further along in its schedule. In this week's What's the Word, we hear from a couple of players about that situation's advantages and disadvantages.
I think it mostly affects our freshmen, just getting those first game jitters out of the way. The other teams have already been playing, and still this is like their first game for the freshmen, so just getting them out there, but they've been doing great.
But at the same time, we're a good enough team to work through that, and you can already see each game we're getting better and better. We're doing a lot better setting up our plays, executing our plays. So hopefully just the rest of the season is just going to keep getting better from here.
So Jamie, last year 7-1 in conference play, and that was a big step up from seasons past. And you've been, as we've seen, you've been with the program for many years. You've seen the strides, you've seen the ups and downs. What was so successful about that 7-1 season last year, and why are you trying to take what you learned last year into what you're doing this year in the NWLC?
I think last year kind of taking all of the pieces and putting them all together so that we can play a solid two halves. Every game was really, a big step for us, because I think that last year was really the first year that we pulled in a lot of freshmen that had played a lot before and were skilled and really knew what they were doing. And I think, trying to bring them to our side and figure out what we were trying to do as a team and putting all of that together and playing a solid game was really our biggest accomplishment.
I think that's a good point, because if you look at the way the team was kind of constructed in its early seasons, it was a lot of calling from other teams at North Central, soccer for instance. But now it's you guys are lacrosse players, you're recruiting lacrosse players, and the program has really come a far way. So what's it like to kind of watch that progression, Rachael, for your 4 years? It's
been awesome. I mean, I started out playing soccer, never touched a stick before getting to North Central, and so it's been really cool to see the new recruits come in, the lacrosse recruits, and everyone just learning to play as a team. Well, it's been a lot of fun watching you guys over the last couple of years. We wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of this season. Thanks for having us. That's all the time we have for this episode, but we're back same time next week for another new installment. As always, you can find each and every episode of this season of the Cardinal Report on nctv17.com. I'm Justin Zipser. We'll see you next time.